This video is for anyone who is looking to get companies to donate raffle prizes for a good cause. Over the years, I've raised tens of thousands of pounds for charity, and I keep going back to doing raffles because I just find it's one of the easiest ways to get people to donate and part with their cash. In this video, I want to share all my top tips and explain exactly the process that I take to get those raffle prizes. Step one is going to be compiling a list of all the companies that you are going to contact to try and get prizes. You might ask, how many companies do I need on that list? And the simple answer is hundreds. The more companies you research and get on your list early on, the more prizes you are going to get. You've got to remember that only a really tiny percentage of those companies are going to come back and say yes. It's just part of the game, especially nowadays when they're being contacted so much by lots of people asking. So go into that knowing this and just put a lot of effort into that early research. First on that list, you want to pick personal contacts that you might have, anywhere that you've worked before, any friends or parents of friends who might work for a company that you can ask directly if they would donate, and that's normally the best success rate you'll have if you have a personal connection. Also, really try and think local to where you are living, or local to the cause. While I do add big generic companies like big restaurant chains and things like that, I really try and think of companies that are quite unusual, and the more unusual you go, the more successful you'll be. Everybody will be approaching your local wine shop asking them to donate bottles. It's an obvious place to go for a raffle prize. However, your local tattoo parlour, how often do you think they get asked to give to charity? Not that often. So contacting places like that, you're much more likely to get a response. So just try and be as creative as you can in this process of thinking of unusual businesses. Services, I find, tend to have a higher success rate than products. And what I mean by services is people willing to donate a haircut, people willing to donate a cleaning service. Maybe you could get a cleaner to offer to spring clean someone's house. The value of that is often quite high and quite attractive to people that are going to be donating. If you do decide to try for product, my personal suggestion is not to try for the shop, but to try and target specific brands. What I mean by that is, let's say you want to add a CD player or a radio to your raffle list. You could go to your local electronics store and ask them to donate. However, what's better is to go into your local store with a pen and paper and write down all the brands that they are selling in that store, and to contact those brands directly. Generally, I try and contact small to medium sized companies, again, because they just tend to get a lot less asked than the bigger, more well-known companies. Step two, you've now got your long list of companies that you're going to contact, and the next thing is to actually get in touch with them. Now, you could call, but I personally find calling just takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of energy, and actually you can often just be passed around from person to person or told they'll get back in touch with you and they don't. So my personal take is to always just send emails, and I like this because I can do it very quickly, very efficiently. Draft an email that you're going to send out. In that email, you want to keep it nice and short. Remember, people don't have a lot of time. They see this big, long, lengthy email, they're not going to bother reading it. But most importantly, try and make it as personal as possible. Like, why are you donating for this cause? Try and pull on their heartstrings. If you've got a story to tell, tell it. I always like to contact a charity, if they're an official charity I'm raising money for, and get an official letter from them which I attach to the email, just to make it a little bit more formal. If there's places that you really want to get prizes from and you've really got your mindset on getting a specific raffle prize, then make it a little bit more targeted. Try and get the name of the person who's going to be responsible for giving you the prize. For a shop, that might be a manager. For a bigger company, it's probably going to be someone working in their marketing or comms department. Now, you'll probably send out these emails and then you'll sit waiting to get a response. You might get one or two people saying yes. You'll probably get lots of rejections. I'd say probably 80% of the emails I send out just get completely ignored. That's where this next step is so important. A week later, go back and chase every single email that you didn't get a response for. Just simply hit the forward on the email and say, just following up from my previous email and waiting to hear from you. It would be great to have you on board for this cause. I get more positive responses from my chase emails than my original emails, because people forget to reply, or they think maybe they can ignore you and you'll go away. So that chase part of the email is really important. Don't skip that step. Hopefully some companies have come back now with some raffle prizes. As soon as they do, say thank you and get them to send it to you straight away. You don't want anyone changing their mind, or someone leaving their work post and the next person being less keen. So get those prizes as soon as you can. It's really nice once you've done the event to send a thank you, either by email or a little postcard. Let them know how much you raised. Maybe send some photos as well. And it's nice to have that personal touch, firstly because they've been kind enough to give you a prize, but you never know when the next raffle might be, and whether you can pester them again for another one. Getting raffle prizes can be a really frustrating process. So my tip would be to go into this knowing that you're going to get lots of rejections, that you're going to be ignored, and so you need to be quite persistent. Another really important factor is your approach and how you're feeling about it. And I definitely remember in the beginning I felt really awkward and quite embarrassed about asking for freebies, but you don't need to be. Remember, you are doing this for a good cause. And the more confident you are, the more likely they are to trust you and to trust your cause and want to get behind you. I always remember that the worst thing that can happen is a company says no, and that's it. You just say thanks for your time, no problem, I understand, and move on. If you keep trying and you just are having no luck, then you need to change your approach. So I would go back to the letter, maybe have a reread of that. Maybe you can make it more personal, maybe you can change your angle, or maybe the issue is the type of companies you're contacting. Perhaps they're just not right for the cause, and you can start being a little bit more creative. Get a new list, get new companies. When you think there are no more companies left, I guarantee there are. I quite like to use Google Maps sometimes and just type in for lots of different industries and services in my area, and all these really strange, unusual things crop up that I didn't even know were there. Another idea is to contact local celebrities. Every town and city has them, and they are likely to have an agent that you can contact to ask if they can send you some signed goods and things like that. Or maybe you can go on your local radio station and ask them to do a shout out for companies to give raffle prizes. My final approach, if none of that is working, is simply to go in person, ask to speak to the manager and ask them directly if they can give you a prize. People find it very, very hard to say no face to face. This takes a lot of confidence, but it's great practice, especially when it comes to selling the raffle tickets. You're going to be oozing with confidence by then if you've practiced this face to face ask. I've written a full guide on getting raffle prizes and included a list of dozens of companies and ideas of the types of places you could be contacting, and you'll find a link to that in the description box. And on my website, on my blog that I link to, you'll find loads of other resources for other types of fundraising and things like that. I'd really appreciate if you could go and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for listening and good luck with your fundraising.